What is up, YouTube? Dots Gaming here, and today I'll be bringing you guys a spell combinations guide for Spellbreak. I've already done an overview of the various gauntlets that you can see in the game, as well as their sorcery, so if you would like to see that, please click the link in the description below. But today's video will be going over the way that the gauntlet sorceries and their basic attacks combine, and the way that they all interact in-game. I'm going to kind of go sorcery by sorcery and then go over the basic attacks, because there's a lot of interactions and there's a lot of overlap, so I'm going to try to cover them in a logical order, but a lot of them interact the way you would expect to based on in real life reactions, but we're going to, like I said, cover all of them today. So the first one I'm going to start with is the Earth Gauntlet. Its sorcery basically throws this gigantic rock, and if you hit it with fire, it turns into a falling meteor and leaves some fire behind once it hits the ground. If you were to also hit that same sorcery with frost, it will turn into basically a giant ice cube, which when it lands, it will leave frost on the ground behind it. You have the wind sorcery, which creates a tornado, which can be electrified with the lightning gauntlet. You can also change the element of the tornado with the poison gauntlet, which will turn it into a poison tornado, and the fire gauntlet will turn it into a fire tornado. In terms of the poison sorcery, it can be frozen with the ice gauntlet into kind of like an actual structure, and you can also catch that on fire and turn it into dragon fire with the fire gauntlet, which will then cause that sorcery to clear. It can also be electrified, stunning targets if you use the lightning gauntlet. When you have the fire gauntlet's sorcery, that can be interacted with the earth gauntlet, which will create further firewalls along the ground. You can also make standing dragon fire with the poison gauntlet that won't just go away after, kind of like the explosion that you saw with the poison sorcery. And it can be cleared by ice, which will leave some steam behind it. Fire can also be cleared by wind, again similar interaction with steam as the byproduct. You can also, using wind, clear the ice left behind by the frost basic attack on the ground, and earth will actually clear the frost as well. You can also electrify the frost left behind with the lightning gauntlet, and that will stun targets who step in it. You can also have further interactions with the ice basic attack if you are to use the fire gauntlet. So when you shoot the ice attack along the ground, if you were to melt it with the fire, it will create steam, but because there's a pool of water, it'll make standing steam, and that can actually be re-interacted with the ice gauntlet, creating kind of like, again, a structure similar to how the poison gauntlet created that little area of, frozen poison. Now, if you also use the poison gauntlet on the ice on the ground, it will basically replace all of it with poison, which can then again be interacted with the flame gauntlet to create dragon fire that will explode, similar to the way that the sorcery did. Poison on the ground can also be cleared by earth and can also be cleared by wind as well, except for wind will kind of create like this little puff of poison afterwards, like a little mini explosion. The earth will just straight up clear it. Wind will dissipate the sorcery, but the standing poison on the ground from the basic attacks kind of creates this little mini poison cloud with the wind, which can then be cleared by the wind basic attack. Now, fire, again, as I showed earlier, will create dragon fire on the ground, which, if you continue to interact with poison attacks, that fire will basically spread. But, that time that you have is limited because the fire burns out very, very quickly. In terms of your lightning attack, the lightning sorcery, if you shoot the wind basic attack through it, it will carry that lightning along the gusts of wind. The poison has the similar interaction, so the poison will carry the lightning through it, and then that poison will be electrified. You could also do the same thing if you had the poison on the ground. You can electrify it with that gauntlet. And you can also freeze poison that's on the ground, which will create a slippery surface, but then if you re-interact with it with fire, it'll explode, just, retaining its normal poison properties. Now, some final interactions that the sorcery has from lightning is that it will create a similar wall of flame to that the Earth Gauntlet did with the Flame Gauntlet. So if you are to actually hit one of the bolts of lightning with the Earth basic attack, it will create a firewall. But all of these can interact as well. If you use the poison attack and then freeze it with the frost and you hit it with the lightning, it will then create kind of like a similar stun, like a stun field like the original poison cloud did. But you can't clear it away with the wind gauntlet because it's, I guess, a big enough of a frozen area that the wind can't clear it away, but you can still blow it up with the fire. And the steam has a similar interaction where wind cannot clear the frozen steam. but it can clear, as you saw, the ice on the ground, which I guess is thin enough for it to clear. Now, I know I kind of went over these in a little bit of a disjointed order, but there's so many different spell interactions inside of Spellbreak and there's a lot of overlap, you know, like you can interact 2 elements and then a third one could come into the mix. So there's a lot of different combinations, and you'll pick these up as you continue to play. But as far as I know, these are pretty much all the combinations you can expect to see inside of a game of Spellbreak. So hopefully this guide cleared them up for you and maybe showed you some new ones that you didn't know existed. So if this video helped you, I'd appreciate if you left a like on it. If you have any questions about the spell interactions inside of Spellbreak, you can feel free to leave a comment below and I will help however I can. And for more great Spellbreak content, please hit that sub button as well as hit the bell to make sure that you keep notifications on. I do stream Spellbreak as well as some other games over on my Twitch channel as well, twitch.tv/dotsgaming, so be sure to stop by there and drop a follow. I want to thank you guys so much for stopping by today. I very much appreciate it. As always, I'm Dots Gaming, and I'll see you all in the next one.